Sony has a new game subscription service. Why not Xbox too? This week has been jam-packed, if you will, with subscription-based gaming news. Earlier this week, Sony announced their subscription service, which has a couple different offerings and primarily focuses on backwards compatibility at the higher tiers. In the mid-tiers, you get 400 to 500 PlayStation games, but it lacks day one content, which is a lot of the emphasis in the world of Microsoft. Now, Microsoft also has their tiers. They have Game Pass Ultimate for about $15 a month. They also have Game Pass on a specific console for $10 a month. They also have Xbox Live Gold, and things are a little awkward in that area, but we'll talk about that in a second, because my buddy Jez, which I have also been hearing actually for a little bit too, so can confirm his news, is that Microsoft is working on a family plan for Xbox Game Pass. Now, this makes a lot of sense, and the early information says, hey, you're going to be able to subscribe to this new tier of Xbox Game Pass, probably Ultimate, I'm not quite sure yet, and have up to 5 people inside your house, all access the same account, all the games, everything else. Now, there's a lot of challenges with something like this, specifically when it comes to how Microsoft allocates revenue and royalties and everything else, because game subscription services are, let's just be honest, brand new when you compare it to the history of how old titles, and you go buy a title for 60 bones, have existed. So there's some challenges that they're working through on the legality side. Microsoft had to work through a lot of challenges on the backwards compatibility of game streaming legality. That's a whole nother topic, but either way, Microsoft is working on that family plan. We don't know how much it's going to cost, but I have heard anywhere that Microsoft is contemplating like $29.99 on the low end and maybe up to $39.99 per month for that type of an engagement or a product, if you will. Now, some people are going to be saying that's a lot of money, and it is, but if you think about it from a $15 a month perspective for Ultimate, that's about like 2.5 licenses or subscriptions, if you will, which is right around typically how Microsoft prices things. But again, don't take that pricing to heart. Microsoft hasn't announced this product, and things really could change right up until the last second. The one thing that I am relatively confident about, at least as of the time of this recording, is that Microsoft is likely going to be shipping this feature, or this tier, I should say, by the end of the year. At least that is their target. It might arrive sooner, but I know that shipping it this year was on their agenda. So that is good news if you have multiple people inside your household and you're just constantly swapping accounts or trying to share an account or whatever you do, so you're not paying for more Game Pass Ultimate. This is probably going to be very, very good for that type of an arrangement. Now, there is one little thing too that I have heard, and Microsoft has been trying to figure this out, and they haven't come up with the solution, at least I don't think so yet, is Xbox Live Gold. This is sort of an awkward thing because Microsoft has Xbox Live Gold, which is $10 dues a month, or 1/10 of a mini fridge unit, or whatever you want to call it. But you need Gold to play online for most titles. Now, there's some exceptions out there, but most people have Xbox Live Gold attached to their account, and Microsoft doesn't want to give up that revenue, but they also want to get more people into Game Pass. And so what do they do here with this $10 a month subscription for Xbox Live Gold, and they also have a $10 a month subscription for Game Pass? They don't want to just take that money and just push it away. Remember, Microsoft has told us time and time again, judge us on the revenue that we drive through our services such as Xbox Live Gold and Game Pass, so they can't get rid of it. I've heard that they're trying to find ways to contemplate combining these things, and I have a theory. I do have a theory here, and Microsoft is, as we all know, on the verge or on the cusp of acquiring Activision for $70 billion-ish, somewhere around that figure. I think it's 67 to be exact. Either way, I've heard that Microsoft is contemplating figuring out how to raise the price of these services to include Gold, so that $15 a month is the new baseline, meaning you get Game Pass and you also get Xbox Live Gold, and that's the only tier. It would not surprise me that when Microsoft closes this acquisition of Activision, which is hard to say, that they actually raise that price, that base floor up of how much it's going to cost to get into their service. That is still going to be a very good value, especially if you're somebody like myself who buys Call of Duty, although this year's was not very good. That's aside from the point. If you're looking at spending at least 2 titles a year, you still come out pretty much even, if not way ahead, and I've already gotten more value out of Game Pass than I typically would buying titles as a standalone. So Microsoft, be on the lookout as they try to juggle these things. Now keep in mind, the Activision deal is not expected to close, not this June, but maybe it might take as long until next June to close. So there's a long runway for this. We've already heard that the government is going to be looking at it through an anti-competitive lens, and that's not a surprise. I expect the EU is going to do similar things because Microsoft is leveraging its other services to help keep pricing for things like Game Pass lower than potentially they maybe could on their own. Now, Phil Spencer has said that Game Pass is sustainable, but sustainable and profitable are two wildly different things. And I think we can look at the pricing that Sony has done this week with their subscription service to say, like, okay, maybe there is some merit to that argument. Either way, Microsoft is continuing on its path with Game Pass that is widely believed, and I'm firmly in this camp, that is the best value in gaming. And as they add more content to it, they will eventually raise the price. I don't know if Activision is going to be the trigger point where they combine Gold and make Ultimate the new, entry level at $14.99 a month, but I don't think it would behoove many people to say, like, yeah, that's kind of justifiable, because at the end of the day, Microsoft does have to make money. They are a profitable company. They do have to show that Game Pass is profitable and driving not just revenue, but actual net income for the service. Microsoft is doing well this generation. It does look like the console sales gap, with the caveat, is actually closing, and many people believe that Game Pass is a driving force of that because it is such a good value. That being said, it's kind of hard to say, yes, they are closing the gap, when it's still really hard to get your hands on either a Series X or a PlayStation 5. You see constantly on the internet, like, they're going to have it in stock, and we're well outside what is typically normal for console shortages. So it's going to be interesting to see how Microsoft, kind of quietly approaches this. We know that a family plan is coming. It is really needed. And many services like Netflix already have this. Other services have it. Microsoft has been sitting on the sidelines, working through the finer details and getting it out the door, which should happen this year. But what about Gold? I'd love to know what you guys like. Is anybody not subscribing to Gold? I guess if you're playing Fortnite or potentially Warzone, some of those online massive multiplayers, you may not be paying for Gold, but I suspect that most people either buy it annually or they have it lumped into Ultimate. I personally am now in the camp of Ultimate. I converted my Gold, which I maxed out like 3 years and converted over to Ultimate. And so I have been riding that wave. I think I've still got over a year potentially left. Still a decent amount of time. But the subscription wars are ongoing, if you will. We've heard things like Netflix. We know that Apple has theirs. We get a lot of talk of, like, is Apple going to build a console? Well, they already have one through the Apple TV and Apple Arcade as their subscription service. Netflix, Sony, Microsoft, it's all very interesting. And it's just the nature and the shift of the market of what is going on in the world of gaming. And I genuinely find it fascinating. And so keep an eye on what is happening with Game Pass. Microsoft's going to acquire Activision, dump all that content in there, and it wouldn't surprise me if the price rises. And so if you want to keep updated on everything that's happening in the world of Xbox and Microsoft and beyond, make sure to keep it subscribed here, because the only BS on this channel is me.